Hello there, it's Paul here and welcome everyone. Not a turning video this time. I just thought I'd give an update just for a change, and it may well become the norm, but I'll talk more about that in a moment. Back, I think it was on the 1st of July, I decided to set myself a challenge of posting a photo every single day for a whole year. It's called the 365 Photo Challenge. So if you follow me on social media, especially Instagram, then you'll have seen me put up pictures every day since July. And some days it's really easy, because if I'm in here I can obviously take lots of pictures. The real hard days are when, for example, like yesterday, I went in the office all day, come home, I really don't want to do a lot. The reason I mention that as well is that because I want to talk about the last couple of videos I put up. The last video, the Remembrance Day video, is probably where you'll have seen a picture on social media that I put up on this 365 photo challenge. And where I live, we have a remembrance bench, which is where I see this image, and I thought that would make a brilliant scroll source project, and thought, right, I need to do something for this for remembrance. And I took the picture, put it in Photoshop, modified it around to create what I thought was a suitable project, and I then cut that all out in August. Making the video was absolutely fine, but it was when I was editing the video I really didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to do a voiceover, whether to have the music tracks on there, which is what I did in the end. Now, a previous video to that was the candlestick phone, and that took me quite a while to make that thing. There was several elements in there. I think there's about 8 or 10 different elements I actually had to turn. Obviously then there was loads and loads of video clips. I was running 2 cameras. I had, I think, about 230 or 240 video clips, and I spent absolutely hours trying to pair them all up to start with, edit them all, cut them all down. I then had to sort of like butcher the whole video to cut things out so that it went down to a smaller size as possible. Both of these videos have really probably brought me on to why I'm doing the update as well, is that it's strange really, because I've already got well over 4,500 subs, and they're going still on daily. So the last few videos have been put out, we've only been getting about 200 views. So it's just really strange that you've got such a high level of people sub to your channel, but very few watching. Especially with those longer videos, I thought, and especially with the editing, it's sort of like more or less put me off. I've got another project on the go here, which I'll just spin the camera around so you can see the state of the bench here. Under here is the project I've been working on. You'll see I've got a dial phone here which I bought off eBay. It's literally brand new, never been used. It was only ever took out for a prop, and I'm sort of like butchering the piece, taking out all the parts that I want, and I'm making like a wall phone. So there's the sort of like the main plate for where the dial goes in. I've got the bell there for it. That's for the earpiece, I think. The sides, and I've cut the piece out there to drop the circuit board in, and there's the earpiece there, because that's going to go in there to create, like I say, an old-fashioned style phone, which is on a wall with a dial, so that you'll have that to pick up an earpiece, and the microphone will then be sat on the front. So that's sort of like been buried under there because I've been working on a few other things. So at the moment I'm in a position that's a fairly big project, and I've started recording an awful lot on there of everything I've done. And again, that video, if I carry on videoing it, it's going to be hours and hours of editing and loads of video clips. And I'm thinking, well, at the moment I'm not really bothered about spending so much time on the video side for probably 100, 200 people to watch the video when I've got 4,500, 5,000 subs. I was working on that one, and then I got dragged away from that to do something else. And we've got a local shop, well, probably about 10 miles away from where I work, that's opened up selling all sort of like Harry Potter items. Because somebody I know works there has let the owner know, and they've asked me if I'd make some wands and things like that for them. So I made 5 wands, which I took down there last week. She bought them and said she'd be interested in a lot more. So I stopped at my local wood mill on the way back and picked up various pieces of wood. And again, if you've seen me on social media, I did post pictures on there. These are the sort of like the lengths pieces I bought, and so I've got some ash there, a bit of peach down the bottom there, there's some oak, there's tulip wood, and some sapele which I've already cut up. So they're all sort of about 1 metre length, and I've basically cut off strips there so that they're all square lengths. And for these long, and I've literally, for the length of them, cut them into 3. And on the, and this is why I've still got the table saw out, because it's such a mess here. I first of all, like I say, cut them all to those sort of lengths. I then just chucked them between centres to roughly true up. So I mean, I've got some flat spots on there which I'm not bothered about, but I wanted to get some form of a tenon on there so that I could straight away put them in the chuck, bring the live centre up on the end, and then turn them down to the finish item that I wanted. So I've actually gone through, I've done all the sapele ones, I've got 6 here, and as you can see, the whole thing is finished off. I've just left it on the tenon at the bottom there, and the reason I've done that is once I've turned these, I'll give them a couple of coats of sanding sealer, knock them back, and give them a coat of just basically spray lacquer. That's the reason why I've left these on, because I'll leave them ideally for 24 hours to actually then sort of fully cure. So the one thing I've really enjoyed doing about the wands is that there's no correct way or shape that they've got to be. So I mean, I think as you can see, they're all totally different styles, different thicknesses, all sorts of different shapes there. So the sapeles I've literally just left sort of fairly bare as they are, just put some burn lines in several of them. I then went over to the oak, and I think, I can't even remember which of the first ones I did here. So I mean, I've only got 3 oak here. Again, burn line with just some sort of different sort of shape. Went for something totally different on that as well. And then with this one, I actually just used my Ebenezer solution, covered the whole thing so it was like a black to start with, and really knocked it back with the sanding, and so that I got that sort of, it's just more of an aged look. Then I went on to some ash. Now the good thing about the ash is the grain is really deep and it's soft. It's more prominent than what oak is. I mean, oak is a very open grained wood as it is, but you can really sand it flat. But with ash, you can still have that soft grain in there, and that's where I've gone for the gilt cream. So this one, I've got a gold on there, and it's really the grain has took most of the gold on there. I've just tried to hold it back a bit. Some areas will still be fairly well gold on there, but the majority of it in this is that the gold has gone into the grain. The silver has gone more over the whole piece rather than into the grain. So again, I might well sort of just try and knock this back a bit. These ones again, I've been a little bit different. Rather than having a straight end on the wands, I've actually left that more natural, so it's almost like a branch or something like that. So this is where I am, and I've got one more ash one there to do. I've got 3 tulip wood and then 3 more on beech, which I will probably then go down the colouring route. So that's where really all my time's been, just really this last week or so, just making wands. My shed is an absolute tip. I mean, I've got the table saw out originally to do the telephone I was doing for cutting all that, and then because I'd still got it out, I was then picked up the thing about doing the wands, so I thought, right, I'll leave it out, and that's where it's just stayed. My lathe, I mean, I've just got all tools on the side there which I've been using. I never move the banjo for doing these, so I just put my board over the top, take the tool rest off, and just carry on turning. I've got all my spray colours out everywhere. It's the whole shed really just is a mess. I just thought I'd show you how I'm doing these. As you can see, I've just got it mounted in the chuck there. I mean, I originally had the tailstock up here, and when I'd finished everything I wanted before I wanted to put the final coat of spray lacquer on here, I then just turned the nub off, took the tailstock away, sanding sealer on the end, and just knocked that back. This has just had 1 coat of the spray lacquer on there, and it's all I'm going to give it, because I just want to give it that little bit of protection and just a slight sheen to it, and this will just dull up a little bit as it dries. Now hopefully you can see on here, I mean, all this grey is the silver gilt cream, and it was quite solid in places when I first put this back on the lathe, and all I've done is just knocked it back with one of these. This particular one is supposed to be about the equivalent of about 1,000 grit, and it's just took it back now so that all the grey, the silver, is just now in the grain, and especially down here it really shows up nicely. And I did the similar thing with the gold one, and this one is probably just about dry now, and hopefully you can see hopefully it shows on the camera here. I'll keep rotating it around anyway, but wherever the grain is here, it's all now gold, and that really shows up nicely. So again, I knocked it back with a cloth to start with, so that it just took out any excess which was just laying on the surface and just left it in the softer grain. And that's where ash is so nice. And I've got one more piece of ash to go on here, which is what I'll do next when I take this one out. And I think this time what I might do in actual fact is I might actually spray this with one of the colours, whether it be, I might do something different from black actually. I might choose a total colour which is like a turquoise or something like that, which will then show up in there to give something a little bit different. But like I say, if you want to see more on these, follow me on social media, especially Instagram if you've got that. Facebook, I'm putting them on my own Facebook page, personal Facebook page as well, my daily pictures. So these will appear on there on the daily pictures, and you'll then be able to see what I'm getting on with. Thanks a lot for watching.